In the vacuum of space, nobody can be concerned about how I feel about the movie Interstellar, directed by Christopher Nolan. How's it going, y'all? Welcome to Sterling on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today, like as if you guessed, I will be giving you my review on Interstellar as part of today's episode of the Christopher Nolan series. I have 2 more movies left. I'm so glad this thing is almost over. It is mentally exhausting watching Interstellar. Anyway, before I begin, if you are new to this video, don't you forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below, click that bell, share it to your friends, family, whoever you can reach out to promote me, to help me grow, and most importantly, watch me fully. And same thing on Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And follow me if you're new to my page. Let's get started. So, Interstellar sees Earth's future, takes place in the future on Earth, where we're witnessing a global crop blight and a second dust bowl, which is slowly rendering the planet uninhabitable, and by definition, it is becoming unable to be lived on, to residing in. So Professor Brand, a brilliant NASA physicist, is working on plans to save mankind by transporting Earth's population to a new home via a wormhole. But first, Brand must send former NASA pilot Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, all right, and a team of researchers through the wormhole and across the galaxy to find out which of these 3 planets would be the best one for this civilization of 7 billion people to live at. Now, before I begin with this section of the story, I want to say with this synopsis, I was hooked. The thing that got me was the fact that they're trying to find a new home, the new home for the human race on 3 different planets, trying to see which one is the best. But most importantly is the why. Christopher Nolan's attempt to tell a story about finding a new home for the human race to reside in is one that I think works mostly because of how it's justified by the fact that the Earth is starting to become extinct and is decomposing itself. There is a crop shortage and dust storms are constantly filling the air and the atmosphere. I happen to not like this one as much as Inception or the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm sorry. If you like this one, good for you, but I don't happen to like this one. Let me explain. But don't worry, I'm not going to fully hate this thing. I'm going to say what I like, and I'm going to say what could have been better, like any critic should do. Anyway, it's not because I wasn't paying close attention. Don't get me wrong. That's what I've been trying to do. That was my whole goal. That was the whole point of going on this, touching base with this franchise anyway by this critically acclaimed director. Because I know how this man rolls. Like, even when I was watching his movies at a young age, I didn't get it. So I wanted to challenge myself by watching his movies, even from the ones he directed independently before he became into the mainstream Hollywood with American audiences. So anyway, that was not the reason. It wasn't because I wasn't paying close attention, but it was because the concept was just too deep and too wide, throwing a complex amount of legit astrophysics into the mix. Come on. That's a lot. That's a lot of science on top of an already complex movie, because it's directed by Christopher Nolan, who is the master of deep, insightful concepts. Getting lost into the concept of Interstellar is like literally getting lost into the vacuum of space. Now, I was eager to see how Nolan was going to pull this off. I thought it was literally going to be his take on space travel, but it's more about relocation. It's a story about relocating the people or finding out what's best for Earth's civilization. Now, it says that, but it doesn't feel that way. So like I said, let me explain. I was expecting more of a visual spectacle. I'm not trying to say that this movie wasn't that, because it was. With some of the space traveling scenes, it was great. It looked surreal, just like what you would see in real life on an actual rocket ship. But it was more about trying to create a hypothetical scenario of how the human race could survive even in the midst of Earth's decimation and where they could colonize. It should have been a balance of Nolan's signature geography, landscape cinematography, because at this point, before starting the series, I was watching some of his trademarks, and some of his trademarks is to capture the landscape. Like, if you went to see Tenet, it had this too. Like, before it went to the location, you got a good feel of what the location looks like from an overhead shot. That is what all of his movies do. Every location each of his movies go, it is an overhead shot before we get a closer look. Bet you didn't catch that. Thank you. You're welcome. Now, it's not only that, not only how we get to see the geography, landscape, cinematography, but also the travels in between the spherical wormhole in space, because it's not just a hole, it's a spherical wormhole. Because, like I said, Christopher Nolan ain't basic. He's not gonna picture the wormhole how you think it would, like a regular black hole in space, like you've seen in pictures taken by NASA. He's going to make it 3-dimensional. He's gonna make it 5-dimensional. He's gonna make it deep and wide. Now, all scientific space concepts aside, they gave a very vague explanation on how time works in the foreign galaxies, because that's what's on the other side of this wormhole. It's foreign galaxies. It's other galaxies that are not like the solar system. Probably planets with 3 stars on it or 2 suns. Now, we might have been given it will take what it will take, how long it will take to get to each of the planets, but we are never told how much time has passed whenever we check back on Cooper's family and everybody at NASA. The characters. Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper is a farmer who is the type of person the world needs at the moment, because farmers are usually responsible for the natural resources that the world takes in, because natural resources is the one thing that they're running out of at this moment. Because there's more technology than there is things natural. Because even in the world we live in, there's more artificial resources in this world than there are natural resources. It seems like one is taking over the other or overpowering the other. However, with Earth being at the brink of collapse, he doesn't feel the option but to follow the plan of Professor Brand, played once again by Michael Caine. I told you, Christopher Nolan has his people, and he will always bring his people back in his movies. Some new, some he's seen before, and some old. Better yet, it's not just one, but it has 2 plans. Plan A and Plan B. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. According to the YouTube channel, Mr. Sunday Movies, shout out to Mr. Sunday Movies, he states Plan A was to harness 5th-dimensional physics and use gravity in order to launch a space station or stations big enough to transport the entirety of Earth's population. Can you understand how this phrase, this idea in and of itself is already complex? Like, how are you going to take 7 billion people on Earth and transfer them to a different planet? Now, realistically, you can do it, because if the mind of a genius is willing to do something, they can do it. But Plan B, which is the real plan inside of the exo plan, is to shoot a bunch of embryos into space in order to start a new colony from scratch. And by the way, this is a continuation from a quote that I'm giving to you by Mr. Sunday Movies. He also states 13 astronauts were sent into space 10 years prior to this movie. The idea was to determine which of the 13 worlds they visited could be made habitable for the human race. Now, in a nutshell, the mission that these astronauts go on is a nice excuse for Nolan to give his take on space travel exploration, which we already know would be good, which in actuality, y'all have heard it in class at school, it takes a very long time to get to Mars. It takes 8 months to get to Mars, and they said it takes 2 years to get to Saturn. Meanwhile, to help the audience understand that a lot of time has gone by, Cooper's children have lived much of their lives but are on different paths and perspectives. The older Jessica Chastain, who's playing a much older version of Cooper's daughter, Murph, is still trying to understand this concept, and his son Tom is living his life. He's living his life exactly the way that his father lived. Now, to close it out, the rating section, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 72% score. Despite having an interesting story and trippy and beautiful visuals, Interstellar bears an over excruciating concept that makes it just as unreachable as the stars itself. This is one of those Nolan movies that may not bear the engaging sequences like the Dark Knight trilogy or concepts that are easy to take in like Inception or The Prestige, but it bears something just as mentally exhausting as Memento or Tenet, because Memento is one of his older films and that was already a deep film. Now I think that was his third film if I'm not wrong, or Tenet, not just from Christopher Nolan's usual filmmaking style, but mixing that and combining it with an already blend of complex scientific theories that requires heavier brain power. It's almost like the movie's asking too much from the audience. That's just my opinion. I don't know how y'all feel about this movie, but that's fine. I will give this movie 5.5 SOs out of 10. Not saying it was bad, I just didn't like it. I know that the directors, that Christopher Nolan knew what he was trying to explain to the audience, but I think the concept was way too deep and overarching, unreachable to grasp. So that's why I give it the rating that I give. So that is my review on Interstellar. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Do you or do you not like it? And if you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and watch it. I'm recommending you watching it because I'm reviewing it to you right now. So that is my review on Interstellar, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with my next video on the Black Lives Matter series. It's a surprise. Bye.